Come on, describe the shoes with clarity. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Man Takes Shoes Out of Box, the episode where you get to sit there and watch me take some shoes out of a box and then tell you what I think of them. Today's review is an absolute sneakernomics hood classic. In true sneakernomics fashion, this review is not coming to you early like those other sneaker YouTubers out there. Oh no! This review is coming very late. Super late if you factor in all the sneaker YouTubers that would have gotten their hands on these like a month early. This is like 2 months behind. These released back, I think in July 19th or something for you guys over there in the US, but these have only just recently landed here in the UK. These recently released, I think on the 2nd it was. I've only just taken receipt of them and I am giddy with excitement to take them out of a box. So let's just do that. Before we break down the shoe that you've probably already seen a whole bunch of times, let's just talk about the history of the Air Jordan 8, because it's one of those sneakers that I feel gets a little bit overlooked. It's probably not on everybody's top 5 J's of all time list unless you very much are an Air Jordan 8 connoisseur. And I think it's mainly down to the aesthetic. You see, these are a little bit high cut, they're a little bit chunky, they're a little bit bulky, the bunny ears or the straps are a little bit of a polarizer, and they don't really have particularly great comfort. It's sort of a weird one as well because MJ was wearing these arguably at the peak of his powers, coming off his first three-peat with the Bulls, bowing out into retirement, having recently just worn the Air Jordan 8. And so it's a little bit of a mystery why this shoe doesn't carry more clout in amongst sneakerheads than it does. I personally feel that this colorway, the aqua, is the best Air Jordan 8 colorway of all time. One, because it's an original colorway that came out in 1993 alongside the Bugs Bunny pair as well as the playoffs pair. Two, because it debuted at the NBA All-Star Game, which was often a time where we saw MJ break out special edition J's, think the Columbia 11s. And three, this particular color scheme, the black with the turquoise, the aqua hits a little bit like the grape colorway, just hits different. It's a non-traditional, non-Chicago type colorway that just seems to absolutely work. In terms of the packaging these come in, it's the old school Air Jordan box with the old school sort of type fonts stealthily inlaid behind the Jumpman logo. You got some Nike Air co-branding. My particular box, as you can see here, came with some free damage, so pretty stoked about that. And then we get to the shoes themselves. So, like I said, it's not a silhouette that everybody gravitates towards. Some people absolutely love these, and some people aren't really into the 8. So one of the things about the Aqua 8s or the Jordan 8s in general that represents this particular time in Tinker Hatfield's design career is that the 7s and the 8s don't feature any Nike branding. The feeling was that in 92, 93, as MJ was becoming a bona fide superstar, a championship winner, the Jordan brands as a sub-brand of Nike was powerful enough to operate on its own. And so for Tinker to not have to incorporate any Nike swoosh action or any Nike Air branding on the shoe meant that this sneaker was able to stand on its own 2 feet. In terms of the silhouette, you can see how it pretty much is just an evolution of the Air Jordan 7. They both have a similar cut, they've got a similar type of height. The ankle collar is pretty similar as well. They feature the same neoprene booty technology borrowed from the Nike Air Huarache. Parts of the traction pattern on the outsole are very similar. The main departure that the 8s would incorporate is the use of the straps or the bunny ears, which was pretty much just incorporated in order to give the player a slightly more locked down feeling when rocking these on the court. But if you actually take the straps off, or if you were to remove the straps entirely, you'd pretty much get a Air Jordan 7. These originally came out in 93. We then got a retro in 2007. Then there was another retro in 2015, and then now we've got them back again in 2025. And I will go through some of the comparisons to the other retros in a little bit, as well as talk about one of the main features on this retro that has gotten a lot of people talking and complaining, which is the shade of gray that you can see here on the upper. But let's just go through the quality of the materials as well as the QC. So the upper isn't a Durabuck, thank goodness, because that material is trash. It's a really nice soft suede nubuck on the black portions of the upper. On the underside of the straps, it's actually a textured leather material that has been sewn on, which is a pretty nice feature. The rough suede extends to the gray paneling around the back, and you also get a perforated suede nubuck material on the upper as well, which also extends up into the ankle collar. Booty system is comprised of the neoprene material, that kind of like almost wetsuit type material. And the gray suede paneling also extends down the eye stays as well as around the top of the toe box. In terms of the technology, it's the Nike Air technology. These things also featured a polycarbonate torsion plate. The general quality control, at least per my pair, per my eye, is pretty good. No wayward stitching, no glue marks, no misplaced logos, although that would be kind of a good thing these days. The branding is pretty minimalistic. You've got the 23 on the middle of the straps, you've got the Air Jordan printed on the side of the straps, and then you've got the Jumpman logo on the tongue with the aqua features as well. The outsole's pretty cool. Got the Jumpman up around the toe, and then you've got the sort of wacky 90s design running down the midfoot. All in all, per the QC, I'm pretty satisfied. These things were 189 pounds, which is pretty much in line with all of the current Jordan retro pricing. And looking around online, these appear to have basically sold out here in the UK from what I can gather. In terms of the resale, these things can be picked up on StockX at the minute for like a little over the retail price. Last sale was 248 pounds, meaning whoever paid that paid about 80, 90 quid over the retail price. So maybe these were a little bit more limited than I, for one, would have expected. I personally thought they were really going to churn these out a little bit like the Grape 5s or Shattered Backboards, but it seems like for whatever reason they have made these a little bit more limited, which is, you know, fair enough. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the complaints that people have been making. The main one that I've seen is that this gray paneling on the upper that wraps around the heel and runs down the eye stays is too light a color. And if we just take a moment to compare this shade of gray to some of the others, going all the way back to the originals, maybe this shade of gray is a little bit lighter colored compared to the originals. The 2007 like GS pair definitely appears to be a much lighter shade of gray, pretty similar to these. The 07 pair, which is the last pair that I had of the Aqua 8s, definitely appears to be a darker shade of gray. And I guess that darker shade of gray kind of blends more harmoniously into the dark nubuck upper. But the last pair that we had in 2015 appears to have a pretty light shade of gray as well. So I guess if you're a real stickler for the details, you might take a little bit of umbrage with the shade of gray, but to be honest, like, it's not really a big deal. So the big question is, how do these fit and how do these feel? Well, it depends how you're going to wear them. If you do want to use the straps and go for a more locked down fit, going true to size is absolutely fine. But if you're wearing them loose like I have been, these fit a little bit big in my opinion. You could even go a half size down. In terms of the comfort, bro, these things are firm. Yeah, it's got the sort of polyurethane midsole. There's not really much in the way of cushioning. Like, these things are like proper bricks, man. They're heavy, they're firm, they're pretty rigid. There's not a whole bunch of flex in the uppers. I mean, the Air Jordan 8s are pretty uncomfortable in general, obviously depending on how used to them you are. So I wouldn't really rate them as a particularly comfy J at all. In terms of how they look on feet, bro, it's one of those shoes, man. Like, it's the classic mid-90s basketball shoe. You guys remember shoes like the Air Raids and stuff? Like, the mid-90s strapped basketball shoes were such a wave. I can remember in the mid-90s just wanting a basketball shoe with a strap on it, whether it was the Converse Aero Jams or whatever. You know, if it had a strap, it was cool. These days, straps don't really equate to being cool, but there's so much nostalgia around this shoe for me personally. I love the colorway, I love the shoe, I love the model. So this is, for me, like one of those ones that has to be in the collection just because of how much I love this colorway going back to 1993. And what do you guys think about the Aquas? Is this up there on one of your favorite retros to drop this year? I mean, it's been a crazy year for retros. These are easily gonna get lost in the sauce. but I personally think it's a dub shoe to have come back. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care for now, and peace.